Hello again, everybody. Welcome to You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling, our weekly look at the Miami Hurricanes from the betting perspective. I'm Gary Furman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined by Lee Sterling himself. We've got that Hard Rock sports app all loaded up here, Lee, in the state of Florida now. Sports betting has come, which means there will be a lot of interested guys wanting to hear what you have to say about Miami at FSU this week in a game that, quite frankly, I don't know how anybody's supposed to handicap. We have no clue who's going to play quarterback for Miami. Is it going to be Tyler Van Dyke? Is it going to be Emory Williams? Could go either way. Will we see both of them during the course of the ball game? Who knows? It's the decision process that Mario Cristobal is going through. But in your business, how do you guys navigate something like that? Before you tell us what you think about Miami FSU, how do you deal with the unknown like this?
It would be very tough to play Miami at this point. So, upfront and honest, I told you I was giving out Miami last week. I lost the game. I still went 4-2 with my clients. If I would have given another game, I probably had a 50-50 chance of winning that.
So you're ornery this week. You're like, you weren't happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe the biggest reason I'm ornery is I don't think North Carolina State's that good. So the game was there to be taken. I mean, we had held them. The defense played so well until 7-8 minutes ago in the game. Held them to 123 yards at that point, Gary.
I know.
And I think we outstatted them, had something like 8 more first downs. When that happens, you win 9 out of 10 games. So
I know.
Yeah, it was.
It's hard to put this all together. Just how Miami's finding ways to lose games this year. It's frustrating.
Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, let's first look at the positive, the defense. A lot of kids played really well and played hard and just had nothing left in the end. So let's give them praise. Let's also, I like to be an equal person here, equal opportunity employer. The coaches did a good job. So we don't have many great cornerbacks. We've lost maybe our best defender in Messidor. So, and we've been able to play overall. We had one bad quarter in that game, and we had one bad half against North Carolina. Probably should have one loss right now. Now, couple things. Offense. No creativity with the running plays. What bothered me with Shannon Dawson was 4th and 1, and if you're going to run the same play we run 15 times a game, it seems like. Maybe it's only 8 or 10.
Yeah, you can't. I agree with what you're saying. You can't do it. No.
We not only can't you do it, we showed that play, and then after the timeout, we ran the same exact play. That was, to me, I almost threw something. I've never thrown anything into a TV, but I came pretty close at that point. Also, I know Harrell's not great. I've seen him, in games and in practices. Can't catch the ball well, but you got other guys that can get deep occasionally. You got to design plays. I played in high school and college. During the year, you add plays. I don't see us really adding plays. I see the same plays over and over. Richard Smith, I'm sure you've heard it from a lot of people. He was our Swiss Army knife for a couple games. How many plays was he out there for?
I think 18.
Okay. And it was like he was totally invisible. You have to design some plays for him.
Absolutely. If you're going to put him on the field, you have to design plays for him. He's a specialist. Right. If you're not going to let him be a specialist, then you need to have somebody else out there because that's what he does. He's a specialist.
And then especially after, we couldn't throw the ball. After mid-second quarter, we couldn't push the ball down the field. You maybe got to do jet sweeps. You got to fake jet sweeps. You have to do something, and we didn't incorporate him into the game. TBD, we're going to talk about him. The kid obviously may be a good kid, but is he hurt still? Does he maybe have a concussion? Because when I'm looking at him and watching him, he might have the telltale signs of having a concussion. He looked wrong.
I compared him. I wrote a column this morning that stirred up a bunch of noise, comparing him to Simone Biles, who in the middle of the Olympics suddenly couldn't do gymnastics anymore.
Right. And so I tweeted out at halftime of the game. You can go back and look at the tweet and look at the timeline. Should have taken him out at halftime. At halftime, I'm tweeting this out. I said he's baked. He has nothing left. He can't compete. Everything. I don't think we threw a pass farther than a slant after late in the second quarter until the last pass of the game. Can't do it in major college football, especially against decent teams. So should have been taken out at halftime. And then Mario, he looks confused. You know, Georgia Tech, we've talked about that a million times. Clemson, if we lose that game, he would have gotten a brunt of criticism for not trying to score with a little over a minute to go and getting the ball back. He might say, oh, well, you know, I felt that my team had a better chance in overtime, but I would have taken a chance there and tried to score. Your young quarterback had led 2 straight drives down the field. And then NC State didn't take out TBD at halftime. And he's got to be the last guy that makes the decisions on 4th and 1. He hears what's going on in his headset. And he should be getting together with the offensive coordinator and coming. We don't have plays. When you get down there, I always knew this when I played. We had 3 or 4 plays, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, or goal line that we felt had devised for that game that we felt could work. And I'm not seeing it. So right now, what is special about Miami? We just can't keep going into fourth quarters expecting to come back, keep it close, and win. What about, winning, being up 2 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter? That's what our goal should be. So right now, there's nothing special about this team, and I think the coaching staff is letting the kids down because there's a lot of kids that are battling hard. Our offensive line is really good, and Fletcher is really good. So just frustrating because another game that slipped through, our fingertips.
All right, so now they're going to Tallahassee. And do you feel that Florida State has separated itself from all these other teams in the ACC that seem pretty even with each other? Or, are they just one of the pack really, and they just happen to be winning the games?
Oh, they're better, Gary. I mean, first off, their quarterback. They only have 5 total turnovers in 9 games. If you win the turnover battle, college football and the NFL, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
And he's good as a drop back passer, great when he is in space, either running or finding receivers. Very good at that. Do I think he's an NFL quarterback? Maybe as a second, third stringer. I don't ever see him as a starter because of his arm strength. But, he's a really good college quarterback. They're going to suffer next year without him. Trust me, you'll see a drop off. So turnovers there. And I think their coaching is good. We see guys getting better. Our guys, since Texas A&M, how many guys are really getting better? So
I think the O-line's been getting better. I think the running backs have been getting better. On defense, I think defensive linemen seem to be getting better.
Yeah. I love this kid, Dean. Is Dean the most talented kid? No. But he plays. If Taylor had Dean's heart, he'd go first round.
Correct. Yes.
So I just think that these kids, not enough of them are getting better. So there are certain situations. Our team right now, we haven't had a game even close to Texas A&M. Not even close. That's what's frustrating. So I think Florida State, this is a year there's no great team, Gary. If we played like we played against Texas A&M, we would be capable of beating them, but not the way Tyler Van Dyke and not the way the coaching staff is coaching now. So, these coaches are getting paid a lot of money. We're not talking about coaches making $100,000, $200,000. Coordinators are making $750,000 to $1.3, $1.5 million in this conference. They should be at a much higher level of devising schemes and coming up with plays. Our defensive coordinator is earning his money. Right now, Shannon Dawson is not earning his money.
Yeah, the defensive coordinator's done a great job with a few minor exceptions the whole year. I mean, I thought at North Carolina, he did not have them prepared for the hurry-up offense. That was his big dud of the year. But other than that,
let's give North Carolina credit. They were the ones that figured out, at halftime, made a halftime adjustment. as
Yes,
far as that's concerned.
I
So
totally agree.
I'd like to see some, if we're going to lose, let's lose being creative. And that doesn't mean double reverse pass. That means showing different blocking schemes. We run that same play up the middle a lot. And I told you at the beginning of the year, I love Fletcher. I came out of that high school championship game. I don't go to many high school games, but I went to that game and I'm like, Bain and Fletcher are dudes. These two guys are going to be the key to our offense and defense the next 3 or 4 years. And I think that they're being wasted. So we've got to find a way. The other running back should have been incorporated to that game. Fletcher was exhausted end of the game. He took a beating.
Probably
So,
overused, yes.
right, probably a little overused.
He will benefit when they get a better running back with some wiggle, which should be next year. Hopefully, Kevin Riley sticks in the recruiting class.
Right.
Trevante Citizen, we'll see how he comes back. But yeah, he will benefit greatly when there's a really solid, number 1A running back on the roster, and then he could be 1B or yeah.
So we need if Tyler Van Dyke is either hurt or something's going on mentally with him, you got to make the change. You just can't.
I think they would if they don't feel that that's the decision they're going to have to make based on what they've seen on the practice field this week.
Do you think maybe Brown plays? Maybe Brown.
I don't think so. That one makes no sense to me. He
can play. What?
But he hasn't stepped on a football field in a year.
How about by the goal line? By the goal line?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
But he threw for 38 yards against them last year. And,
I know. But I'm just saying for maybe 2 plays at the goal line.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
You don't have to worry about the red shirt. There's only 4 games left.
Yes, correct. So you never know. They might have a package there to try.
Right.
We'll see. But the thing I was getting at is I don't see how somebody like yourself can handicap this game
very tough
without knowing who's starting a quarterback.
Right.
And if Tyler Van Dyke is starting a quarterback, is it a different picture in your world than if Emory Williams is starting?
I would actually prefer, if I was to back Miami, Emory Williams. So if you want to bet Florida State, you're hoping TVD probably starts right now. And that's crazy to think, like 4 or 5 games ago, that we were talking that way. So
if Saturday noon comes or 1 o'clock or whatever, and we find out Emory Williams is starting this ball game, which very well could happen.
Yeah.
What happens to the line?
I think it stays the same. I don't think it's not going to affect the public. 95% of people don't know, even football fans, who Emory Williams even is. Okay. They didn't watch the Clemson game. It wasn't a top 4, top 5 game even that weekend. So I think it'll stay the same. If Tyler Van Dyke plays and starts, I think the only right side is probably Florida State here. So Mario's going to have to, if he wants to win, he's going to have to improve, his decision making. He just doesn't seem to have a feel for the game, Gary. That's the thing that bothers me. He looks like an offensive line coach who's never made decisions in games. And
what's he supposed to do when his quarterback mentally implodes? Like
you got to put another kid in. We're not talking about if Emory had never played before, then I'd say, okay, maybe I see it. Emory Williams had a nice 4th quarter in overtime against a quality team. Now, it wasn't on the road, but you know what? You got to do it in case you run into a situation like this game on the road. Now, if you put in Emory, he might get a little rattled. But I think him playing that Clemson game would help him. And you know what? I'd rather go into the game with a healthy, physically and mentally, Emory Williams than Tyler Van Dyke, either not being 100% mentally or physically. So, I'll probably watch the first quarter, and if it gets ugly, I'll just tape it and watch it later. If we're down 2 touchdowns, I just may not be able to take it anymore.
Can't take the frustration anymore.
Right.
All right. So Miami, Florida State, 14-point line. You don't see the line changing with money coming in for Florida State? Okay.
Well, it's come down. It started at 15. It was at 14.5. Just today did it move to 14.
So money's going in on Miami.
Money's coming just only because this is a traditional visiting underdog series. The visitor has covered as an underdog 19 out of 25 times as a dog.
Right.
That's crazy. But
that's crazy.
But you have to judge a game based on what we see now. This isn't, the 90s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s.
Right.
The series has changed, and look what happened last year with no quarterback last year. We couldn't even compete. That was one of the. I watched the first half. I still haven't watched the second half of that game. I didn't want to. I mean, did you sit through it all?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
So you're recommending Florida State laying the 14. Does that go to your clients, or are you staying away from the game?
Stay away from the game. But if I had to take a side, I would take Florida State, something like 34-13.
Okay. Another
and one more thing. I think Florida State can be ran on and passed on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, like I said, I don't think there's any great team in college football. I don't think if the Georgia team from this year played the Georgia team from 2 years ago, they lose by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Alabama's not great. Washington's not great. So that's what's frustrating. If we were playing and we kept climbing after Texas A&M, we could beat this team. But
I've been saying for the last few days, I think I'm probably wearing these things, Lee.
You are.
No argument. But I've been doing a lot of shows and stuff this week, and I see a path to Miami being in this game in the fourth quarter. You gotta absolutely annihilate the quarterback for Florida State, get in his head. You must, Lance Guidry will go after him. Okay,
he will. But Gary, who's going to play quarterback where we have the chance?
That one could go either way. I mean, they both have been practicing this week. That's going to be a Mario decision. It's a tough one for him, man. Okay. Because thing is, I'm thinking he's going to. It could go Emory, but if you're looking at it from his lens, you're saying Tyler, if he gets his head screwed on straight, can walk out there and go for 350 in this game and light it up if he's right mentally. So
Florida State's defense, I like that. I think we can run them on them, maybe even more than we ran on NC State, believe it or not. But they're going to stack the box. If I was them, yes. I would certainly
take away the run game and make them throw it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be, I don't know, it'll be interesting, Lee, but if they can get pressure on the quarterback and hit him and hurt, and make him feel it enough times, and Lance Guidry's going after him. That's what he does. That's what Lance Guidry does. If they can do that the way they did to Texas A&M, then I think Miami's got a shot. Because if he's just sitting back there and we're trying to cover those receivers, good luck.
Yeah. I agree. The receivers will be wide open. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm crossing my toes. Let's pray.
It'll be interesting. And then on offense, God knows, just find a way. So we'll see what happens. All right. Another game I wanted to ask you about. Michigan is going to Penn State. Huge game. They're 4.5-point favorites on the road. Manny Diaz defense at Penn State has been one of the statistically best in the country this year. He's been doing a nice job with those guys. Who do you like, Michigan, Penn State?
And it wasn't his fault that they lost that game against Ohio State. Their offense was putrid. Now, Ohio State, which I didn't think their defense was great, stepped up. Penn State's offense went 0 for 15 on third down conversions until I think it was less than a minute to go in the game.
And James Franklin went for it on fourth down from his own 40. They were only trailing by, I think, I can't remember if it was a touchdown or 4 points, but they were still very much in the game. He goes for it from his own 40, doesn't get it, and lets Ohio State just go blow him away. I couldn't, some of these head coaches, that guy makes like $7-8 million, Lee, to make a decision like that. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So what do we do in this game?
The difference is, maybe home field. So Penn State playing on the road at Ohio State or Michigan, they don't win the game. Michigan hasn't been tested. Penn State hadn't been tested. So playing in that game against Ohio State on the road might help them. Playing at home, these three teams is a huge advantage. Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. So I just don't think Michigan's been tested here. We'll find out. If James Franklin can't win this game, he's in trouble. With this kind of defense, This is the number 1 and the number 2 defenses in the country, Michigan and Penn State. I'm going to call for the small upset, Penn State 24-21.
Interesting. Does that one go to your clients?
No.
No, too tight, too tough to call. All right, another interesting game this weekend. You got the Georgia Bulldogs, who I find it hard to believe are going to be just cruising home to a 3rd straight national title. I just don't know how that happens. They are at home. They are 11-point favorites this weekend against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And man, I'll tell you, like, normally I might root for Lane Kiffin in this game just to beat Georgia, but he was negative recruiting against Miami this week. Telling wide receivers committed to Miami that if he wants to be developed, he should go to Ole Miss or Ohio State. So Lane Kiffin's not at the top of my list right now. Your thoughts on that game?
So Lane Kiffin has done well the last 3 or 4 weeks, but let's look back to Alabama game and the last couple of years. What he does, with the line being 11 points, there's really no difference between it, in my opinion, being 3 or 4 points and 11 points. If he's down more than a touchdown, especially once he gets down double digits, he will gamble. He'll go for it almost every single 4th down outside his own 40-yard line. And that can lead to being blown out. So almost all the time. So, I think he's got some talent. Junkins, the running back that they have, is great. But they have to run the ball to allow their quarterback, Jackson Dart, to be able to use the spread option. He's a good runner once they get their star running back going, and also their play action. I don't think he's going to be able to do a whole lot of it against Georgia. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. I like Georgia 34-17.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beat the crap out of Lane Kiffin.
Right.
That's what I want to see. All right, Lee. Betting at the Hard Rock has started. A lot of people have their apps working now. What can they do to get Paramount Sports service? And do you have any specials or anything this week?
Okay, well, we had another winning week, went 9-5. We won 8 out of 11 weeks. Anyone wants to look at what games I've given my clients, go to the website, ParamountSports.com, under recent results, see every game given my clients for 4 years. Now, we rate our games from 10 to 50 units. Rarely do we have 40 or 50 unit plays. We've only had 2 this year. And I'm going to send these to you, Gary, as soon as the segment's over. I have a 40 to 50 unit play in college on Saturday and a 40 to 50 unit play, which you can unload on, also in the NFL on Sunday.
All right.
We're 62-20 on these 40 to 50 unit plays the last 15 years.
Wow.
Anyone wants to get involved, 7 games, combined college and pro, and 2 of them will be these 40 to 50 unit best bets, $117, ParamountSports.com.
All righty, Lee. Well, this is going to be an interesting week, man. I hope Miami shows up. If not, if not, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm going to be in Tallahassee, so I can't just stay and not come home. But it's going to be rough down here.
Punishment might be stopping in Gainesville on the way home.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm flying out of Jacksonville, so I don't have to go that far south. But all right, well, thank you everybody for joining us once again on You Bet CaneSport with Lee Sterling. For Lee, I'm Gary, and we will see how the games go this week, and we will see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.